Okay, so I have this companion, and we're running through cornfields, and we're being chased by British redcoats.
It was like one of the fairies from Fairly Odd Parents, which is a show that exists.
Somebody outside the window with a great big cloth bag, and inside somehow I knew there were squealing, screaming children.
Riding a bike past my window and trying to get in my room.
They started crying, and since it was fairy tears, it destroyed the entire universe.
And there were different kinds of stuffed animals depending on the answer.
And you get to the hotel, and they're like, oh, you get a free helicopter. And it comes with the hotel room, and I'm like, what? A helicopter?
And so, like, the universe didn't exist except for me and about 20 people.
In this MMA-style cage fight, but it was a dance battle.
And he walks into the police department, and they say, sir, excuse me, and all of a sudden he clocks on people. He's like, on the street corner of the ghetto, a tubercular child stands and shouts at the sky.
And my companion and I are Native Americans. And as we're nearing the end of the cornfields, all of a sudden, we reach the top of a cliff. And we have nowhere else to go but to jump off the cliff.
And there was this, like, road that was, like, post-universe or something. And on the road, were, like, just, like, in the sky were, like, little staticky TV screens. And if you touched it, you would go into different sitcoms for the period of time that you were touching the screen.
And I'm like, oh my God, can I hang on? You know, and it was like windy.
And instead of just normal dance moves, we wore these light things, and it was like synced up to the music, and it was really wild.
And as we're falling down, we end up in a body of water that happens to be an ocean. And all of a sudden, our races change, and we're suddenly black.
And that was really confusing.
With the power of Almighty God, I will strike this world dead at the 11th hour.
And the waves are kind of choppy, you know, out in the ocean. And there's this big, like, you can see like the dorsal fin of like this giant shark.
But I ended up on the top rail, and it was really icy. And I thought, oh my God, it's icy up here. I mean, I'm not going to stop.
The earth will crack and break, and hate and greed and pornography and the filth of the missile silos will spew out and consume all human flesh.
And I had co-workers with me. We were going to meet for lunch and then walk around the ballpark.
And I was with the Law & Order Criminal Intent detectives, and we were solving a murder.
And we swim for a while, and we reach this tiny island. And at this island, there's a little house, kind of like a shack.
And then we had to go backstage, and Alex Trebek had this, like, really elaborate maze that he had to lead us through, but the maze was, like, constructed by the sponsors, and he kept giving us gifts, like bottles of water. They were, like, promotional gifts that were for, you know, like Tylenol or...
A bridge across the Ohio River that I was walking on that was slanted, and it was icy, and I was ready to fall off.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
Men will tear their eyes out of their sockets. Mothers will murder their babies.
So we, like, did that for a minute, and then we walked along the road, and at the end of the road we found a picture of somebody. It was either like David Duchovny or Patrick Swayze. I think it was Patrick Swayze. And I picked it up, I was like, oh, here it is.
And somehow I knew this person was coming to collect me.
And so then I go back to the hotel, and I'm like, I'm going to get this girl to come with me. We're going to have a great time. So I land my pod, and I get out, and I go in the room, and she's just sitting there, and I'm like, let's get in this ball, let's go, roll around, it's crazy. And she was like, nope.
When it's finished, with pain and agony, have gorged themselves on the corruption of your bodies.
I distinctly remember a door and a window on each side. And in front of the door and the two windows is a lit candle.
And we were going through this maze, and our arms were full.
Even though there was water sometimes ankle deep in some areas where you had to swim.
And the windows are open, and you can kind of see like the curtains on the inside, but the door is closed.
And it's like really close to the boat. And then I realized that I'm like just smiling, like heading towards my impending doom.
The fatted cow will give birth to a stillborn mutant monster,
And then we got to this big pile of stuffed animals, and he's like, you have to carry the stuffed animals, and if you don't have stuffed animals, then you can't answer the questions correctly.
So we go up to the room, and there's like a helicopter pad, but it's not a helicopter, it's like a big pod. And I'm like, yo, like, do you want to go in this pod helicopter thing? And she's like, no, I'm gonna like hang out here for a little while. And I was like, okay, I'm getting in the pod.
And it was kind of wicked. And then I went to the refrigerator and I got a tall boy of root beer, a 22-ounce can.
Why then, the obscenity of mankind will return to its primordial vapor of stink and vomit.
It was probably one of the most bizarre things that I've ever been involved in.
And then this other time, I was in Newport coming across the bridge, but there was a war going on.
Pray! Pray for yourselves! Pray now, for the hour of your annihilation is at hand!
So I get in the pod, and it like flies all around you, like up and down and sideways, and like do rolls, and we're like going all over the city, or just I'm going all over the city, and I'm having a great time.
It was like a civil war. And I'm like, whoa, do I really want to go across that bridge? And I'm like, oh no, I don't know.
And all of a sudden, there's a loud booming voice, and a gust of wind comes through the open windows. You can see the curtains flowing out, and it busts open the front door, and the voice says, go and be free. And so my companion and I leave, and we go and have a feast with our family and friends, and that's the end.